If I could, I just want to first of all welcome all our distinguished guests. That is our veterans and their families. Today, this ceremony is about you and your service to our nation and your family's service and commitment in supporting you. And to each of you today, our sincere thanks for what you have done. To all the students who've been involved, from Baldwin High School and from Georgia Military College, both the prep and the college, thanks for your participation too, because you do add so much to make this a very special ceremony. And I want to thank our elected officials that are here, from our representative, Rusty Kidd, to the mayor of our city. I've seen some of our city council members here. And then, of course, the president of Georgia College State University, Dr. Steve Dorman. Steve, thank you for being present today to honor these veterans and their families. This is a unique opportunity for me today. I get to introduce to the city somebody many of you do not know. The Watkins family just 1 year ago moved to Milledgeville. Jim is a very humble, very unassuming, but incredibly accomplished and very devoted patriot to this nation of ours. A graduate of the Ohio State University, he will later be inducted into their Hall of Fame at Ohio State for his service in the United States Army, something many people here are not aware of, but he culminates his Army career by serving as Commandant of the Army's Finance School at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, rising to the rank of Colonel, having a very distinguished military career. Jim will then go on from there to be enlisted to run as a Chief Operations Officer for a major orthopedic clinic of over 300 employees and do that for a while. And then he's picked up as the Chief Financial Officer for the Dominican Sisters of Peace. And if that's not enough, the order has 2 universities, 2 schools, and numerous overseas operations that Jim, as the Chief Financial Operations Officer, is responsible for. It's about that time that the United States Department of Defense recognizes that they need to get him back. So they approach Jim and they say, listen, we would like to bring you back into the Department of Defense as an Army civilian. For many of you know, you call this the Senior Executive Service. This is the SESs in the United States Army that are our mainstay of intellect, of continuity, and of experience that come and serve and rise through the ranks of about a colonel officer equivalent. But there's this unique group that rise into the general officer ranks. And that's what they brought Jim in back as. A 2-star equivalent general, they bring him back into the SES Corps, where Jim will eventually culminate his time serving one more time for the Department of Defense, this time in a coat and tie every day, but serving as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Financial Operations. In that job, he had the responsibility to oversee 15,000 employees on a daily basis, and just his own little budget was about $10 billion a year. Not to talk about the other $180 billion that he had to manage and oversee with that organization. We are incredibly fortunate here in Milledgeville to have been able to convince Jim and Kim and their 2 boys, Andy and Jack, to move to Milledgeville, to make this their new home, to become part of this community. And those of us at Georgia Military College were incredibly blessed in that he agreed to take over and help us as the Chief Financial Officer. Of course, he was looking for the 2nd university and overseas operations, which we don't have, so this is really a piece of cake for him this time around. But Jim, it's with great honor that we here in Milledgeville are thrilled to have you and Kim as a part of this community, and we welcome your remarks today. Ladies and gentlemen, your Colonel of Retired Jim Watkins.
Thank you, General Caldwell. While I was sitting there, I started getting concerned that maybe the introduction was going to be longer than the speech. So, first of all, Representative Kidd, Mayor Thrower, council members, General and Mrs. Caldwell, Mr. Simons, Mr. Mize, Mr. Griffin from the American Legion, veterans, family, and friends, good morning. I got to looking at the weather today and I noticed that the Sergeant Major in the sky is smiling on us. He's smiling on us because he broke away all that rain and brought us a day as beautiful as this so we can honor our veterans. And the cadets in the formation, don't they look great? Let's give them a shout. Before we focus on our veterans, I want to give thanks to a group of people who are unsung and unheralded heroes. These are the spouses, the children, and the families who stay behind during deployments and keep the home fires burning, worrying about their veteran, missing their father or their mother, and in general, moving forward while waiting for their loved one to return. So, to the spouses, the children, and the families of veterans, thank you very much. I have only two messages today. The first one is a little history about why we're here today, what we're celebrating. And the second one is a summary in my own mind of what veterans are all about. So first, a little history. World War I officially ended on June 28, 1919, with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. The actual fighting between the Allies and Germany, however, had ended 7 months earlier. And the 11th month, the 11th hour, the 11th day, the 11th minute of November 1918. This was Armistice Day, as it became known, November 11th. That was where we got Armistice Day, or the truce that was signed to stop the fighting. It became a holiday in the United States to honor all those who died in World War I. In the 1940s, Armistice Day was changed to honor all the veterans who served in the U.S. military. In 1954, President Eisenhower changed Armistice Day to become Veterans Day, and that's what we have today, Veterans Day. But Veterans Day, sometimes when I talk to people, Veterans Day is confused with Memorial Day. And that confusion stems from the fact that Memorial Day honors all the American service members who died in service to America as a result of injuries incurred during battle. On the other hand, Veterans Day pays tribute to all American veterans, living or dead, and especially gives thanks to those living veterans who served their country honorably in peace or war. The brave men and women who serve and protect the United States come from all walks of life. They are parents, children, grandparents, they are friends, neighbors, co-workers, and members of our community. Here are some of the facts about our current population of veterans in the United States. There's about 20 million of us, 20 million veterans in the United States. A little over 9 million of those veterans are over the age of 65. A little under 2 million veterans are under the age of 35. Almost 2 million veterans are female, which is a recent phenomenon. Women in the Army, women in the Navy, women in the Air Force. Almost 2 million female veterans. About 8 million veterans served during the Vietnam War. And as I looked around, I see there's a lot of Vietnam War veterans among us. About 5 million veterans served in the Gulf War. We still have about 2.5 million veterans alive today that served in World War II, and about 2.8 million who served in the Korean War. There are 6 million veterans today who served in peacetime. Now there's about 3 million veterans who are getting compensation for service-connected disabilities. Now the VA health system in 1930 had about 54 hospitals. Since then, it's expanded to include 171 medical centers, more than 350 outpatient, community, and outreach clinics, 126 nursing home care units, and 35 live-in care facilities for injured or disabled vets. Our veterans are the men and women who are the vanguard and the defenders of freedom. They allow us to enjoy the benefits of freedom, which includes the blessings of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These men and women, they live the 7 values of the Army that's adopted mostly by all veterans. Here are the 7 values. Loyalty, bearing true faith and allegiance to the U.S. Constitution and the United States Army, or whatever service they're in. The second one is duty, fulfilling their obligations. Duty means being able to accomplish tasks as part of a team. Respect. Number 3, treating people as they should be treated. Respect is what allows us to appreciate the best in other people. Selfless service. Putting the welfare of the nation, the Army, and subordinates above their own welfare. These are veterans. Integrity. Doing what's right, legally and morally. Personal courage. Facing fear, danger, or adversity. Building personal courage by standing up and acting upon the things they know are right. Number 7, honor.